Hi, this is Delene Sheesby. I would like to introduce you to the Executive Legal Liability course. At the end of this course, the executive learner will have a better understanding of the Occupational Health and Safety Act and the accompanying regulations, and of the minimum requirements as stipulated in the Act with a view to reduce their company's liability. So the executive learner will be better equipped regarding, number one, the legal requirements of this necessary legislation, and number two, be able to identify hazards and risks within the organization, and finally, number three, to be able to participate in active communication sessions with confidence. But firstly, you will probably already know that the current CETA landscape has undergone some phasing out processes. The QCTO, we think, would eventually hold similar occupational qualifications and or occupational skills programs as did the CETAs before. But most legacy qualifications have ended their registration dates, which were set for the 30th of June 2023. However, it is very important to note that this course I'm going to outline the contents of does not require QCTO or CETA accreditation. In fact, this course used to be presented under the SAQA Unit Standards 242668 and 120344. In spite of the recent QCTO and CETA changes, the content of this Executive Legal Liability course remains basically the same. The information, therefore, is still very relevant and is still required for your management. This is the second in a series of short videos I will produce, which will outline the content of some of the legislative training interventions you should offer your employees. This video presentation will outline the comprehensive content of this one-day course, which specifically focuses on compliance with South African legislation. In class, the executive learner will explore the key aspects of South African health and safety legislation and the requirements for compliance, effective management controls, incident investigation processes, and the legal obligations of employers. We like to introduce the learners to the structure and get them to identify who is who in their own workplace. Having executives from the same workplace allows us to pursue a risk-based approach. We spend a bit of time introducing the learners to this concept of vicarious liability, and we use a scenario to demonstrate the meaning of sections 37.1 and 37.2. This is often followed by interesting class discussions on letters of good standing and IODs. Then a quick overview of their own structure, starting from their 16.1 down to the section 14 employees, from where the health and safety reps are nominated using that ratio of 1 in 50 or 1 in 100. The South African legal system combines civil law and common law traditions with the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996, serving as the supreme law of our country. Legislation plays a vital role in shaping the legal framework, providing guidelines for good corporate governance. The learners discuss both criminal and civil offences and penalties with examples and where each can occur within the health and safety framework in their own workplaces. Understanding the basic principles of South African legislation is crucial for compliance. We have acts of parliament, regulations, proclamations, bylaws, and municipal regulations. These are all sources of legislation. Acts of parliament are primary legislation, while the others provide detailed guidelines. The executives learn that compliance with South African health and safety legislation is paramount to ensure a safe workplace. The Occupational Health and Safety Act is the primary legislation governing health and safety. It sets out the requirements for compliance, including regulations that provide a specific guideline for various aspects of health and safety in your workplace. Each regulation is discussed with the executives in the class so that they can relate that regulation requirements to their own workplaces. Effective management controls are essential to achieve compliance with South African legislation. Key requirements for management controls include risk management processes and assessments, development and implementation of policies and procedures, proper documentation and record keeping, training programs and competency assessments, internal controls and audits, incident investigation processes, and monitoring compliance and reporting mechanisms. Throughout the course, we are constantly touching on risk assessment. The learners are introduced to the 3 methods of performing risk assessments. Although the learners do not in this course actually perform these risk assessments, they need to be aware of the various methodologies. In another course, separate to this course, we deal specifically with each different method when the learners can actually practice performing risk assessments based on some of their own risks in their own workplaces. Risk assessments are a crucial component of health and safety compliance. Baseline risk assessments are conducted to identify and assess risks associated with higher level resources in the work environment, and risk profiles can then be obtained from those. They establish a starting point to understand the existing risks and go on to developing control measures. Then continuous risk assessments. These involve ongoing monitoring and reassessment of risks to ensure they remain controlled and mitigated at all times. They consider changes in the work processes, equipment, or the introduction of new hazards. And then, issue-based risk assessments are conducted in response to specific events, tasks, jobs, processes, or changes in the workplace that may introduce new risks or modify existing ones. They help to identify and assess risks associated with the specific issues or changes and implement appropriate control measures. During the Executive Legal Liability course, the learners are introduced to incident investigation. Workplace incident investigation is a vital process to identify the root causes of incidents and to prevent their recurrence. Employers have an obligation to investigate incidents as part of their compliance efforts. The investigation process involves reporting and documenting incidents, gathering evidence and witness statements, analyzing root causes, developing corrective actions, implementing those actions, and reviewing and learning from the incident to improve health and safety practices. Much to be learned. Therefore, the incident investigation course is also a full one-day course. The executive learners on this course must realize that employers have legal obligations to provide training and effective communication. Training requirements cover various areas such as workplace safety, hazard identification, risk assessment, proper use of personal protective equipment, emergency procedures, machinery operation, chemical handling, manual handling. Effective communication channels must ensure the dissemination of important information related to health and safety, policies, work instructions, regulations, incident reports, and updates on hazards and risks. So to end off on this video, this is Delene Sheesby, and thank you for spending a few moments of your time while I briefly cover the content of this Executive Legal Liability course. I also hope that this short video has given you insight into what this course can offer you and your senior staff. If you wish to arrange Executive Legal Liability training for your group, please do not hesitate in contacting me. Details are on this slide. Pricing is simple and affordable, based on a daily rate, not a per person rate, which means you can take advantage of having a large group trained. Well, looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.